Hello everybody. We're going to continue the theme of games that save you money. And in this particular case, we're talking about games that give you a good high value for your money. Games that will keep you coming back, that'll have you playing for hundreds of hours, which you'll be able to pick up in a couple of years' time and still play. And you won't be bored of them. Unlike the many games you seem to get on consoles these days, which are 50 quid, you play for 30 hours and never touch again. These games all have the potential for putting hundreds of hours into it, from a gameplay perspective. Now, I played every kind of game. I started in 1980 on the VIC-20 when Pong was just getting old, Pac-Man was the in thing, so was Space Invaders and Defender and Scramble. And I've played every game since then. And one of the game genres that struck me was the BBC's game Kingdom. That was my very first city game, right? And that was about 82, I think, 81, 82, something like that. A long time ago anyway. But I've been playing that kind of game ever since. Been playing simulations ever since. I think one of the first simulations I played was Gunship. Microprose's Gunship and F-15 and F-19 Stealth Fighter and things like that. I don't play the flight sims much anymore, but I still play simulations. So the kind of games I'm talking about today were pretty much developed by Microprose back in the day. And they do all have hundreds of hours worth of gameplay in them. Bullfrog also led the way with many of these as well. So let's have a look at them, right? I'm going to go down the list here of games which I think would keep you playing for a long time. And I'll outline any issues that we have with them, just so you understand. First of all, the Anno series. They have the potential to keep you playing for a long time. The problem with Anno is they do get a bit dull after a while. Like you can see, my game time drops off sharply because it's pretty much very repetitive. You set up supply lines and try and feed a city which gobbles up your resources. But it does get repetitive, so the interest rate drops off. Banished is too difficult. You think you're doing well, first winter everybody dies off. So, people love survival games, and that is a survival game. That's a city survival game. And it's not a bad one, but it's not one you get hundreds of hours of, because you get bored of that kind of thing because of the difficulty curve is just too tight. Now, City Skylines, that is definitely a game I would recommend to people who are looking for a game that will keep them entertained this winter when they're paying high bills. Something where you buy it on the cheap because it's been out a few years and you'll be playing it for hundreds of hours whilst this current crisis comes and goes and we've all got our money back and we can all increase our standard of living again. Frostpunk's not too bad, but it's difficult. Again, it's a bit like Banished. It's a survival game. I like the feel of it. It's got an excellent feel from a sci-fi perspective, but again, too difficult. Now, Jurassic World, right? The Jurassic series, they're another game with the potential for you to just put hundreds of hours in. If you're into dinosaurs, they're really good in that respect. You could actually, just play that all winter. Same with Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster is a much bigger affair and Jurassic World is a spin-off from that really. But Planet Coaster, it's a theme park game, one of the best ones there is. I love that game. I played that to death and in fact I might go on it again soon. Now Surviving Mars, that's another one. Now Surviving Mars it's very atmospheric. It's one of those games where if you like Mars, you get right into it. You've got a heavy dose of settling Mars facts and figures and issues and stuff, and you basically got to try and create a base, for humans to colonize, and then you send the first human colonists up there, and for the first couple of years, they're all you've got, and if they die, you lose. You're dealing with all kinds of issues that Mars throws at you and then develop it. And then if you've got the right DLCs, then you can, transform it into a green planet. It's an excellent game and it's one I really do like. I definitely recommend that. Tropicos I don't recommend. They started out alright up to 4, but then they lost it from about 4, 5 and 6. 4 wasn't too bad, 5 and 6, they're not even connected. What goes on in the world is not connected at all to what you do. It's no. Anyhow, 2 Point Hospital, that's another game that has the potential to have you playing for hundreds of hours again. Now, I know hospitals are a bit of a niche market, so it depends on whether you like hospital games. But Bullfrog's Theme Hospital kick-started this, and it was a huge success. People loved it and still like it today. 2 Point Hospital is better. It's a much better game, and they're releasing spin-offs like 2 Point Campus and things like that as well. So it's definitely something you should consider if that's what you're into. Now we go down to the classics, the Elder Scrolls. Now I'm talking about from Morrowind through to Skyrim here. I haven't played Arena or Daggerfall, so I couldn't talk about them. But you can get any of them, and you'll get many hours out of it. I mean, I've been playing Morrowind from disc, and I've still put 90 hours in from the Steam version. Same with Oblivion. I mean, I played it from disc, and I put nearly 650 hours from the Steam version. So these two here I played to death before I put them on Steam, and even on Steam I've got quite a few hours on them, and they're talking thousands of hours. So the Elder Scrolls, definitely something to have in your collection if you want to get by this winter on very little money because you're too busy paying your gas bill. Fallout games again. Now Fallout 3 doesn't really work that well anymore, I'm finding, although I might give it a whirl again on this new system, see if it works. But it stopped working for me, and when I got Game Pass, it started working. The Game Pass version worked, so I don't know what they've changed, but a Game Pass version did work. So what I might do is I might reinstall it and see if it works now. But remember, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas both had the navmesh bug. It was fixed in Skyrim after I made a video showing the issue in Skyrim, but it was in 3 of Bethesda's games without being fixed. And I reported it in all 3. This means modding anything like a town or anything that involves land where NPCs can walk, it's just out of the question. Fallout 4 is brilliant. Fallout New Vegas is brilliant. I mean, I say brilliant, but I mean, look at that. Quite a few hours there. And so, I mean, over 1,300. This has been one I've owned on Steam from the very beginning, and that's how many hours I clocked into it. So again, excellent games to keep you going, during the winter. Now these should never be ignored, right? Mountain Blade series. Now I wouldn't recommend Fire and Sword, but Mountain Blade Warband and Mountain Blade Bannerlord, I definitely would. I mean, Mountain Blade Warband was my website's Game of the Year for 2010. It beat the Civilization releases that year, and it's definitely worth a look. I love these two games, to be honest. Total War, we'll get to Total War in a minute. The X series, that's another series, that's a space simulation series. You get X1, 2, 3, 4. The first one was X Beyond the Frontier. And I liked it up until the point they changed the universe a bit. I haven't really played it since, but it's definitely a series that will keep you going for hundreds of hours. So that's another series of games to look at if you want to buy a game and just keep playing it. Dishonored is a bad one. You used to pay £50, and even I played it multiple times. I've only got 38 hours in it. It's not a good choice. No Man's Sky, that is another good choice. It's one of those games that will keep you coming back time and time again. Again, I mean, you can see the ones I've owned down here with the X series as well. So yeah, No Man's Sky is on the list of games that will keep you coming back, and you could probably pick that up cheaper now. The strategy games here, Galactic Civilizations, any of those, right? Again, that will keep you playing all winter. That's a civilization kind of game, where you're just trying to conquer a whole galaxy. Sins of a Solar Empire, an absolute corker of a game, that one. I keep seeing it coming back up. I think people are basically still playing it. even today. I mean, when was it released? So look, it's really old game. Can't really see, but it's a really old game anyway, and it definitely worth buying. And it should be dirt cheap right now. In fact, let's have a look at the store page. Store page. Will it even tell me? That's the package. £31. Well, they've got a lot of new DLCs for it. £31 is a lot of money for a game this old. But 2012 is 10 years old. Get that in a sale, folks. But it's a great game. Stellaris. I never could get my head around these games. You know, Crusader games and stuff. Or Europa, I think it is. I can't remember exactly. But they too will keep you playing for many, many hours if you can get into them. So they're another great game. Skip past most of these because most of these won't. You might get a few hundred hours at the best ones, like Roos was a good game. I really loved Roos, that was excellent. But even that, I think, you know, stretching a little bit there. Total War. Now, Medieval Total War, it says 2 minutes there, but I've had that on disc and I played that to death. That's the best one. I wasn't that keen on Rome, but Rome was still good. I'd avoid Antilla. Empire, I loved to bits. Medieval 2, I enjoyed. Napoleon, I didn't really play that much. Rome 2, I played a bit. Shogun, I played a bit. But it's the Warhammer ones I enjoy the most. This one here had the problems of not having the Immortal Empires campaign. That one was when they introduced it. It should have introduced it in that one as a patch, but they made a new game for it. But as you can see, you know, the Total War Warhammer games for me were really good, but any of the Total War games will keep you playing for quite a while. If we go down the list, Sid Meier's Civilization. Personally, I would recommend 4. That was by far the best Civilization game ever made, in my opinion. I own most of them, but the ones that came after 4 were just Hans variety strategy games. They weren't really that brilliant. It's like the Master of the Arcane, pretty much exactly the same as Civilizations 5, 6 and everything else after that, you know. They weren't really that brilliant. If we go down even further into uncategorized, I don't think there's many in this category down here. I mean, I played the Divinity ones quite a while, but again, no, nothing really to write home about. Kingdom Come Deliverance, that is a game. That is a game that will keep you playing. You know, it's a really immersive medieval game. You will eventually reach the end of it though, and you might not go back on it. Replay value might be low as a result of that, so maybe not. Going down. I think that's it really. Got a few train simulators down there, and War Thunders. Of course, there's multiplayer games and whatnot. But yeah, these are all games. If you buy them, they will keep coming back to them, and it'll keep you playing. If you're struggling this winter for something to play and you really don't have the money, you know, to do it because you're too busy paying for your energy bill, then I would recommend any of those games, to be honest. And if you want a bit of a laugh, try. In fact, that's a point. Where is it? War of the Overworld. It's basically a Dungeon Keeper clone, a tribute to Dungeon Keeper, but it's actually better than Dungeon Keeper. It lacks the humour that Dungeon Keeper had, but at the same time it's taken the game beyond Dungeon Keeper. Just one more typing. No, it's not the one. Here it is, War for the Overworld. This is the one here. If you want a game that's interesting and fun, you notice I haven't put that many hours into it because the campaigns aren't that long. This is one of those games you either love to bits or play a lot or you won't, but there's quite a lot involved in it. But this game here, it doesn't quite hit the hundreds of hours mark, but it is a game you can keep coming back to and playing sandbox mode. So yeah, it's worth it. Right then, we're going to leave it there, and I hope this has given you some ideas for this winter. You do get games like Old World here, which sound good on paper, but don't quite cut the mustard, if you know what I mean. Planet Zoo, that's from the same people who do Planet Coaster. There's a whole series of them now. Also, we've got Dragon Age. I like the first couple. I like the books, but I wouldn't recommend it. Right, that's it from that. In fact, there is a couple of games I would add to the list, and if I can just get this open. This takes a while to load. Right, now, I've been getting the freebies from these, so it's all mixed up. It's very hard to find any of the games. Now, somewhere down here, it should be, actually, we've got a recent, right? Now, Phoenix Point, that has the potential for being played a lot. Surviving Mars, or Surviving the Aftermath, that's a sequel to Surviving Mars. Another great game. It's a survival game, a city survival game. Really, really good, right? Really worth the money. MechWarrior 5, Mercenaries. That's like a gigantic robot stomping game where you blow the crap out of other robots. Right, only these are mechs and you're a mech warrior, you pilot them. The strategy version is called Battletech, that's on Steam. Both of them can keep you playing hundreds of hours if you're into that kind of game. They do have the potential to just keep going on and on and on and on and on. So definitely worth it. That's it, Europa Universalis, that's one of the games like Stellaris and stuff, same people. Never could quite get my head around those. But yeah, they're the games. That's the games I'd recommend if you wanted to get something that'll keep you coming back this winter and you don't want to waste money on a £50 game that'll only give you 30 hours of play and leave you bored for most of these cold winter nights. And remember folks, right, sitting at a computer when your heating's turned down because you can't afford to turn it on is a sure way of getting hypothermia. So wrap up warm. And I'll see you in the next one.